Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
Uh-oh. Noel, we lost you.
Hi, I'm Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot, and I'm real excited to be on the show today, you guys.
And as he's oh, there we go. Maybe.
Hey, look at that. You unmuted me. This is Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot. I'm your co-host that's not a Cobra intern.
And I'm your Cobra intern whose acting career was sadly cut down after starring as a tree in The Lorax, codename Legion Cub.
I didn't have anybody muted. Kristian, did you mute Noel?
No.
Was that your little Cobra intern prank for the day?
Yeah, the little mute button was pressed down there on the screen. It was not on my little manual device, and then it just kind of
These things
don't lean too far back in your chair.
We're live, pal.
Yeah. Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Click that follow button. Be sure you're subscribed. Leave a 5-star review. But most importantly, spread the word about Audible Interlude. It is the only way we can grow is if you get out there and tell people about us. Follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast. While you're there, check the pinned stories. Go to our TeePublic store. And for a very limited time, only available through March 16th, get yourself an Audible 316. Oh, hell yeah, t-shirt. We will be doing a Stone Cold Steve Austin themed special for our next live stream on March the 16th. This shirt will be available through then, but it is currently on sale. It will be on sale for the next 24 hours, I think. But check it out on TeePublic, Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and go get yourself a shirt. And if we see you wearing Audible Interlude merch at a live event, you'll get some swag. And there's other merch available too. Don't you worry. We have the new and improved merch image that you can scan this little QR code right now, wherever you are, and go get some merch. We've got lots of t-shirts and hats and shorts and phone cases and blah, blah, blah. You've heard it all before. Always wait for a sale. The Audible 316 shirt is on sale because it just went up yesterday. Members of the Audible Army Facebook group got first dibs on it, but it is widely available now. So go get that shirt if you'd like one. It has, to bring that back up real quick, it's got the recognizable Audible 316 logo with a nice little sublimated Audible Interlude logo off to the side there. A very recognizable and eye-pleasing design, bringing back the nostalgia of the Attitude Era. Let's see here. Oh, so not a lot of news, really. And yet, we have a large variety of things to talk about tonight, so I'm glad everybody is here hanging out with us. If you'll notice the banner on your screen, support us in the Super Chat. We have a new deal for hosting of the audio versions of the show, but it is more expensive than the old plan, which was free. So everything that you send us in the Super Chat or anywhere else goes directly into paying for hosting, expenses for the show, everything else. It all goes right back into the show, which is another way you can help us grow, but still isn't quite as important as sharing and spreading the word about Audible Interlude. You are watching us on the Needless Things YouTube channel, where you can this week catch the review for Mole Rat Stage 2, which I could not resist once I saw it. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. Audible Army Facebook group I mentioned before. There is already a link in the comments if you would like to join right now. But if you are not able, you can always shoot us your email address at Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and we'll get you added to the group. As I said, our next live stream is on March the 16th, or 316. Oh, hell yeah. Be sure and join us for that. Put it on your calendar. And you want to check out, also available here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, is my second interview with Brian Hickey, who you may know from the Battle Action Force treasuries that are absolutely fantastic. We reviewed here on the show. You can check out this interview about his newest project, the 60th anniversary release of My Palatoy Story, about Bob Brecken. And I have a great time talking to Brian. I'm very excited about meeting him at Joe Fest. He was at ZoloCon this past weekend, which did you guys see the ZoloCon stuff?
I will not have any days off. I will be on like a 15-day stretch until this Friday. So I am sorely behind in online
all of the
testing.
pictures. Everything that I saw from ZoloCon made it look awesome. Like really, really. I'm not going to say I was kicking myself, because you can't just, the amount of money it takes to travel and spend time doing something like that. You don't do it just sort of, I think I'll go check that out, or at least I don't. But it looked like it was a really, really great show with a lot of people that we know there. So I'm excited. I'm doubly excited now about Toylanta and Joe Fest coming up.
I just want to also plug the Brian Hickey interview, because I listened to it while I was at work yesterday. And always amazing to hear him talk about Action Force. But also there were some surprises in there.
Right.
That I totally caught me off guard. Stuff I had never seen. When you guys were talking about some of the vehicles, the Seawolf is one of my favorites. And man, prices for that on eBay have just shot up so much.
Yeah.
But I also, I'm so tempted by the Star Wars book now too.
I kind of want anything that's relevant to my interests that Total Toy Books is putting out, I kind of just want to have, because their stuff is so nice.
Yeah.
And speaking of the 60th anniversary release of My Palatoy Story, the Kickstarter is live right now, so you can go check that out. It has additional pages focusing on Action Force. If you enjoyed things like in a weird way, the Lou Scheimer book is a good comparison of really just giving a comprehensive history of the company. So if you enjoy the sort of pop culture company biography, I guess, type of things, this is a must. And you can see, if you're watching us on the Needless Things YouTube channel, you can see on the cover of the book, it's not just Action Force. Palatoy was responsible for a wide range of products back in the 80s. So pretty excited about this. Go check out the Kickstarter now.
I think that's one of the other things that surprised me during the interview, because, being a Star Wars fan, I've seen Palatoy's Star Wars figures, and it wasn't until hearing him talk Action Force and Star Wars, and I'm like, holy crap, you had Kenner and Hasbro before the merger, like their products coming out from the same company. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's weird okay, so we had this period of time, because when we were growing up, you had Mego that had DC and Marvel in the same house, which we just sort of took for granted. And then throughout the 80s, everything divided up. Nothing was cross-contaminated. Nothing was compatible. Nothing was ever even the same scale or aesthetics or anything.
Woohoo!
Hey! Thank you so much.
Pod, Brett White.
Yeah.
Who ever heard of being shot down by salad?
You know what? I need to make a note, because I want to remember that for later in the show. Thank you, Brett White. You just helped me out with something I was struggling with a little bit. Here we go.
Yeah, I remember being, having all those Mego toys and not even thinking that it was weird that my Batman and Spider-Man would be teaming up against, whomever. Um,
Right.
but it was weird in the 90s when we got DC and Marvel crossovers
That was
because we
crazy.
were so used to them being so separate.
But now we're back in this era where it's all getting mixed up again. And I think, unfortunately, because of how much there is out there that is directed at appealing to us, we're taking it for granted. Like if 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, if there had been, Thundercats, Masters of the Universe, Ninja Turtles, Masters of the Universe, like all of those, I would have lost my mind. And now it's just like, oh, that's really cool. Like today, as I'm going through, we're talking before we came on the air, we're all talking about budget, which we'll be talking about more as the show goes on. I was budget. Well, I paid my taxes earlier today, which never used to be paid my taxes. Always used to be a return. But now every year for the past since the pandemic, weirdly, I pay taxes. But anyway, paid my taxes earlier today, and I was going through because I just reused the slideshow, the presentation. So I was going through and deleting the pictures from 2 weeks ago, and the turtles popped up, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I probably don't need these. As much as I love them, and as great as I think they look, and now is not the time. Dream crossover. especially and I am only briefly going to ascend to my soapbox, especially with the price of oil getting ready to freaking skyrocket thanks to morons. No more to say on that. We'll just move along now.
But hey, at least Hasbro is apparently going to be suing over tariffs,
which potentially at some point might get Hasbro some compensation, but it ain't gonna do us any good.
Right?
Our money's gone. Our money
down.
And do you think that $27.99 price point is going to go back down at any point in time?
Never. As taxpayers, our money's gone and we don't know where. Oh, no, wait, we do. It's the Board of Peace that just started a war. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't get me started. Let's move on.
Soapboxes just keep falling down the stairs for you today.
Right. Well, they're growing under my feet. Like, what is the game? What game is it where you can like make a box appear under you, and if you do it fast enough, you can get the character? Like, it's not Minecraft, but there's some game where that was part of the play mechanism, was you could make a little box appear, but because of a glitch, if you did it fast enough, you could actually get the character just floating across the levels. That's me with soapboxes right now, and I cannot stop them from appearing. All right, let's move on. Follow up. We got a little bit of follow up to talk about. First of all, like I said, the mole rat, which I saw. Oh, here, before we get to the mole rat, let's look at this so I can remove these from the stage. So I did find one of the displays in Walmart with the random product generator. No rhyme or reason to these characters whatsoever. These are not currently available at retail. These are older figures, all of them. So this is literally somebody like loaded up the template for this end cap talker and just said add character art. Like there's a Crimson Viper, an Iron Grenadier, Helix, who's like 3 years old at this point. Storm Shadow version 2, Alpine. It's just nuts. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And what's funny is the one we're looking at right now, as you can see, the only thing left are Night Vipers and Mole Rats. And I have one of the original sales units from when Classified launched, because I went in and I asked the guy in the toy aisle, because that was still something you might see from time to time. I asked him, I said, hey, if I buy the rest of these figures, can I have this thing too? And he was like, yeah, once it's empty, we throw it out. So I took the whole thing up front, bought the 2 figures that were in it, and took it home. This one, I don't even want it. I could have easily done the same thing, and I was just like, I don't even want this. It doesn't make any sense. But I did want the mole rat because those colors are just wonderful. It has all the same problems that the original mole rat had. They did not fix the hoses, connectivity, or anything like that, but I wanted this crazy head that's like a skull with energon growing out of it. That is awesome. And then the colors of the suit, I like the original still, but this one is just, come on, this is on the shelf and it looks great. But check out the full review right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Now, have you guys fallen victim to anything that you didn't expect to be buying lately?
Yes. So, I think we had talked about it originally. I didn't pre-order the Night Viper. I have no attachment to it. Didn't have it as a kid. And then you had sent us in the chat, like when you got yours, you were talking about how, well done, like figure of the year type thing.
It is. It's a figure of the year candidate.
And
I can almost guarantee it'll be in my top 10 at the end of the year.
So I stopped at Walmart. The toy aisle where G.I. Joe is, the pegs were still empty except for some retro carded figures and Blowtorch. But I ended up in the aisle that I always notice is like basically overstock, right?
Right.
And
like
lo
it feels like it's supposed to be part of the action figure aisle, but it just wraps around the back of another aisle.
yeah, and
Like the
usually
bikes or something.
And usually it's like, right there at the end aisle cap. It's like nothing but like preschool toys and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, I walked down it, and lo and behold, right there were pegs, or I guess a shelf, but multiples of the Night Viper and Big Lobs.
Nice.
And as soon as I saw the Night Viper, I was like, oh, he looks sharp. And I agree with you. The way that they did the weapon attachments, like instead of having the bulky extra plastic, it's like they're just glued onto his legs. Like everything fits tight and doesn't hinder his articulation or mobility. And that has made me kind of meh on the one figure I was the most excited for.
Like imagine if Lifeline's parts, imagine if that holster was just glued to his side instead of being that awkward little rig. Or that,
so
like
now,
if he were designed like the Night Viper, he would also be like figure of the year candidate. Well, except for the goggle thing, which boy, we got two major misses on the goggles in this wave.
His green glasses are going to break at some point. Like pretty much,
I don't know about that.
I've resigned that I can never take that helmet off again, because the helmet is so tight on him and that chin strap that when I was trying to put it on, it kept bending and warping the glasses.
See, what I did is I squeezed my review for him has gone up. I think I showed it in the review. I squeezed his chin and the top of the helmet, which, look, you shouldn't have to do this, but whatever. I squeezed his chin and the top of the helmet, and it made the helmet like bow out a little bit right there. And so I slid the glasses in, no problem. Well, okay, I'm not gonna say no problem. It was a pain in the butt to like get the exact right angle, and then for my big sausage fingers to hold those little tiny glasses and get them in place. It was a pain, but like once I figured out the angles and everything, they went in and we're fine.
And folks,
I'm jealous. Wait, real quick. Round of applause for Kristian being the first one to get something.
Yeah. What? This hasn't happened since the friggin' Crimson Guard. How many years ago was that?
Right.
He is fantastic. I was excited for him, but some of the excitement went down, like, because obviously we got the Super 7 3 3/4 one, and that's, like we've all said, like the format that we wanted him.
Yeah.
But all of his extra parts, the basketball hand, like, he's just fun to pose, and
Well, he looks really tall.
he is tall.
Set him next to
Nice.
Mainframe.
Right.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Well, if you see, Brett put up this really great picture in the group of the movie characters with Tunnel Rat on Big Lob's back, and the scaling, like it's perfect. The picture is great, but the scaling is like perfect. They look so good.
That's why I figure the extra hand he comes with, that is just the palming hand, it's totally gonna be you're not touching me with Cobra.
Yes.
Trying to punch him because he's really awesome. And the kicks, as the kids say.
Well, that's what
Very
got me like re-excited about him, is somebody put up a picture where you could see that his sneakers have the Joe logo on them, which is so cool. And get with somebody and put those out, like make those.
Oh, sure.
Instead of doing those so subtle you can't even tell what they are sneakers that came out a few years ago, like do those, make those sneakers. Get with Puma or whoever, I don't know. Not Bull Airs, though. Good Lord. I'm not paying $275 for sneakers. Craziness. So, yeah, very cool. Big Lob. Oh, I was going to check and see where the heck is my Big Lob. Let's see. Shipments.
Mine will be delivered on Wednesday, apparently, by USPS.
Nice. Mine says Thursday. Although I will admit that the last couple of things from DHL have come like 2 days earlier than what the thing has said. So we'll see, whatever. I mean, our next week's reviews are already done anyway, so
I'm still baffled at like why they don't just wait. They're going from the same warehouse, but my Lifeline and my Big Lob literally shipped 24 hours from one another. And I got my Lifeline on Saturday.
I really think it's about the bulk of what they're shipping and not the individual. Like, I think it's all going out and they're paying by weight, not by package. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's my guess. So Royal Guards were in some Targets Sunday. I got up Sunday morning and got dressed to go for my walk. And I was like, you know what? Wreck Ship seems to believe the Target's going to put these Royal Guards out. Who am I to doubt our little pal Wreck Ship? I'm going to go to Target because if he believes, I believe. So it's like 10 extra minutes. It's nothing to drive to this Target when I'm on my way to the park. So I go to Target, went in, and they had the same stuff they've had for the past 2 months. And I walked back out and went and walked. So no Royal Guard there. But what I did do, I think it was Yorktown Joe posted the UPC code for the Royal Guards in the Audible Army Facebook group. So I opened that up, scanned that UPC code, and it said, this item is not available at this store. But it also provided a QR code that said, would you like to have it delivered to you? And I was like, well, let's see what happens there with zero expectation. I was like, well, let's see what happens there. So I scanned the QR code and it pops up and it says, this item is not sold by Target.
Weird.
So Target just keep on targeted. But apparently Wreck Ship got one from somewhere. He posted in the group earlier. He didn't say where he got it or how much he paid for it, but he does have a Royal Guard.
Black market.
That's a fast turnaround, though. If he went to Target yesterday, didn't find anything, and then managed to get one here today for from some Australian seller for $90. That's pretty impressive. What else have we got? Oh, Small Joe's. So I don't know why Small Joe's has just come back into my awareness after not thinking about them after ordering that original batch of stands that I got. But Small Joe's has a ton of the Haya Toys Joe's in stock.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Let me eliminate
shipping
some of our...
from the United States?
Yes.
Wow.
So we'll just do a little screen share so everybody can take a look. So they've got 3 pages. Now, they're expensive. They're more than I'm going to pay for them. As much as I would love to review one, I'm not paying $38 plus shipping for these.
Wow. And I didn't even realize they'd made some of these figures because we were kind of keeping an eye on these for a while.
Well, I think sites stopped reporting on them because it was delay after delay after delay after delay.
Well, and now we're getting into ones that are not in stock yet. Apparently, Spirit will be in stock January 2026. If anybody sees a problem with that, let me know. I don't see anything wrong. But yeah, a lot of them actually listed on the site. And yeah, shipping from, you'll pay whatever Small Joe's shipping is. It's not any kind of... December 2026 for Zartan, the Alley Viper, Gung Ho, Crimson Viper. Wow. That's a ways off. But anyway, look, I think they all look great. And if they weren't $38, I'd be into these for sure.
So Vandal Small World says, as much as I'm a dyed-in-the-wool 1/18th guy and love Joe, those Haya figs are just too fragile. I play with my toys. So
interesting.
I originally had some of them on pre-order, and I ended up canceling my pre-orders because we were just waiting so long. And I decided I don't need since I started getting back into the 3 3/4 Joes, I decided I don't need something that doesn't scale with that. So I'm curious, Vandal, is this based off of other Haya figures that you had, or is the news coming out that these figures are prone to breakage?
Well, and having some Japanese figures, I would categorize some of the ones that I have as fragile, but not in the sense of they break when they shouldn't break, but in the sense that my big dumb American hands aren't used to that type of construction.
Oh yeah, I have some.
For me, I would define them as fragile, but not, you know what I mean?
Right, because I have some Ultraman kaiju figures that they pop apart at certain places, like a leg or an arm. So like you said, it's not like it's broken because you can easily snap that back on. But yeah, if you're trying to get it into a pose that the creators didn't plan on it being able to get into, it's going to come apart.
Well, and even with some of the Mezco stuff, where it's just these really delicate little parts that they designed that way because it's cool and it's an adult collector product, but if you don't engage a super high level of being careful, you're going to break something.
Okay.
And I have to consciously engage that.
So he said the joints are dinky and don't hold up to any kind of serious movement. Elbows and feet were particularly bad. Well, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. Throw up Wreck Ship's follow-up on the Royal Guard.
Oh, I missed that. So Wreck Ship's Target just put them out today for retail. I don't know why. As of yesterday, they weren't in the system. Yet two other Targets on the other side of town already sold all of theirs.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Which is why I say, like, I'm not going to waste time running all over town. Not even today. I'm not even going to drive 10 minutes out of my way to check. It's not worth it to me because the ship date on, I don't remember where I ordered. I think I got mine from Pulse. It was like April, which means any week now. So I'm just not expending the energy of like showing up at Target, scanning the thing to say Target doesn't carry this. It's not worth it to me. When it comes, it comes.
Go back to Haya for a second. I think we talked about this a while back. Like, I don't really have interest in the figures because I love my 1/18ths, but I want them in O-ring scale. I don't care for the modern figures as much. But
yeah,
they did that APC for Aliens. I was hoping they would do some vehicles at some point in that scale.
Yeah, but if the figures are that delicate or fragile or whatever, can you imagine how the vehicles are? And I wanted that APC, but again, it was just like, I'm not spending that.
Right. It was
for that.
It was a lot, but sometimes
all right. Well, I think that's about all the follow-up we had. It is time to move on into some actual for real news. Which we do have a few things to talk about. First, before we move on too far, I want to bring up again the My Palatoy Story 60th Anniversary Expanded Edition Kickstarter is live right now. It goes through Monday, March the 30th. The award-winning history of the UK's greatest toy maker by Bob Breakin, now featuring 32 new pages celebrating 60 years of Action Man. So it is your opportunity to get in on this really interesting tome about the history of a significant toy company. So just go hit up the Google and check it out. Also in the realm of book news, the G.I. Joe Compendiums Volume 3 and 4. These are from Image Comics and Skybound. They are meant to accompany the Compendiums Volume 1 and 2 that came out last year, right? I think. They use... Okay, so I've got some highlights about what this set will include. And if you don't know, this is the IDW run of G.I. Joe Real American Hero. So it is a direct continuation of the Marvel Comics compendiums that came out. And they used the word fans about 1,000 times in the press release. And for me, that's like a trigger when corporations use the word fans when they mean customers. That really bothers me. So I've kind of parsed this down a little bit for ease of digestion. On February 17th, Skybound, Image, and Hasbro announced a new G.I. Joe Real American Hero Compendium Kickstarter. It launches on March the 24th. It has new key art by Andy Kubert and collects over 300 issues. Now, this says from both Marvel and IDW eras of G.I. Joe. I don't believe that's correct because it's issue... Hang on. Issue 155 and a half, which was IDW's launch, to 300. None of that is Marvel. So it's weird. But there are a few things in here that were maybe a little cut and paste error, which, believe it or not, I have problems with that from time to time myself when I'm using old copy. You can sign up at the mailing list now at GIJoeKickstarter.com to receive all the campaign details ahead of its launch Tuesday, March 24th at 6 a.m. Pacific time, featuring the iconic series writer Larry Hama and an all-star lineup of series artists. The new G.I. Joe Real American Hero compendium sets. These new hardcover compendiums collect the most iconic moments in G.I. Joe history, from Cobra Commander's seemingly successful world domination to the unforgettable introduction of Dawn Moreno, the all-new Snake Eyes, which I do like the synergy of her figure coming out and this set being introduced. Now, this portion of the press release kind of cracked me up because I would imagine everybody here has listened to interviews with Larry Hama, if not outright spoken to him and had a conversation with him. He's very accessible, very cool guy. You can check out interviews we've had with him here on the Needless Things YouTube channel and the Needless Things podcast. So this quote, imagine if you will, Larry Hama spewing forth this collection of words. I am really glad that there will finally be a quality compendium of the continuation of my run on G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, beyond the initial Marvel run and into the IDW issues. This will be the first time that a uniform hardbound edition will be produced that includes the first 300 issues, along with covers and many exclusive extras. A real must for loyal fans and completists. Now, Larry Hama may feel that way, but Larry Hama did not say that. Those are not words that came out of his mouth in that order. And I'm sure the sentiment is there, but again, anybody who has even listened to interviews with him knows like that is not his structure, if you will. But I do appreciate that they said completists and not completionists, because completionist is not a word. Fans who backed this is also very confusing at this point. Fans who backed the first G.I. Joe Real American Hero Compendium set campaign can select a tier to purchase the new set of hardcovers, collecting issues 155.5 to 300, along with all the annual specials and more. Like that first campaign, you must choose a side. Will you stand with G.I. Joe or rule the world with Cobra? That's very confusing verbiage, because it almost makes it sound like you can only back this if you backed the first one, which there's no way that's the case. And then the other alternative is that they left something out, and if you backed the first one, you have something special you can get from this one, which I also doubt would be the case. But the bottom line, the piece of information to pull out of that is that it's issues 155.5 to 300. Rewards include Kickstarter, basically the same stuff from the first campaign. Kickstarter exclusive Larry Hama signed book plates, faux leather hardcovers, spot gloss, foil finish, blah, blah, blah. Same stuff, which is fine. And once again, we'll be live on Tuesday, March 24th. So there you go. This is great. I'm so happy they're doing this and that they're acknowledging this history. I mean, considering Skybound has continued this continuity, it feels like something they had to do. But at the same time, you never know what these corporations are going to decide is important or worth their time and money or whatever. So I think it's great they're doing this. Having said that, I have most of these in single issues, and right now, this is probably not in my budget. And there's that word again. What about you guys? And the chat? Who is all in on this?
So I didn't get the first one, mainly because I have access to all the issues.
Sure.
And shelf space is limited. So
yeah, I've not picked up and physically read a comic book in ages, other than like the ones I've gotten on Free Comic Book Day, because to me, I have to have everything on my tablet now.
But I do love that they're doing this. It's going to look great on the shelves, and I love that it also helps Larry. So absolutely, for those who want everything collected in one volume, support it.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to have it, but just right now, just like with those Turtles crossovers, right now it's just not the time.
Well, it said budget wise, but also just like space wise. It's something else that's going to take up a lot of space, and I'm never going to open it. Like, I love Carson's G.I. Joe compendium. And I'll open it up every once in a while, but like for the most part, that is a big heavy thing that sits on a table in my den, and I don't need more things that are just going to sit there and not be opened.
Well, that's a Noel problem. Although I will say at our age, it does take a little extra effort to pick up a 75-pound book and find somewhere large enough to read it. This is not, if you tried to take one of these into the bathroom with you and read it while you're having some thinking time, your legs would fall asleep and probably have to be amputated. All right, moving on. Call sign Longbow. Of course, at the end of every month, we get the updates from the Kickstarters that are run by responsible people who do updates. And Call sign Longbow has been there every step of the way, letting us know what's going on with their project. The production update is, of course, the factory shut down for most of the month of February due to the Lunar New Year. This month's update will be a little light. They expect the team to start back on March 1st. So as of now, production is probably back underway. They're adding tiny details. So what we're looking at here, if you're watching us on the Needless Things YouTube channel, you have one of the weapons from Call Sign Longbow. Something they've not shown before is how extra small texture details can be added to tools. And we've heard this kind of thing before, where when we see renders of products from companies, oftentimes the textures are not included. Those might be added later in the process. So whether it's a garment or a weapon or whatever, the render may not show every detail that's going to be present there. So this is how extra small texture details can be added to tools. In this case, the wood grain on the rifle for Henchman, the tracksuit guy, these details are too small to be 3D printed as part of the master for tooling, so they need to be added to the tool directly. The factory uses these pattern plates, in this case, with a 0.080 millimeter depth. I'm American, so I don't know what a millimeter is, but looks cool. But it is cool seeing this detail. And there's a note here. These patterns are the inverse of the final detail. All low parts are high and high parts are low because, of course, it's the injection molding. So that's how it's going to come out. The final product will actually be the opposite texture of these mock-ups. So I just thought this was a cool look at the process. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing every step of the way, all of these companies showing us like, well, this is how this is done. This is why this takes so much time. It's fascinating to me. We need to have the Grindstone guys back on the show just to talk about the process and how it's gone. And then we've also got another proof card. So this month in their ongoing series of card backs, they have the proof card for Lancer to share, who in my head is Falcon, but cooler. As we covered in previous months, these proof cards are used to make sure the card's the correct size, colors, and layout. So this is something that's printed up so they can get it in hand and make sure the blister is in the right spot. The colors will all match across the line, because you can actually take these physical samples and line them up and say, oh, wait a minute, the blue in this one doesn't match the blue in this one. So it's just good to have that physical verification. And I would love if they brought some of these to the shows just to have as, I don't know about giveaways, but they could do like a little sample pack, because they've done patches and stuff in the past. I think this would be a cool thing for fans to walk away from, even if you get everybody to sign it. Like, that's pretty cool. Another update. Oh, the Snake Eyes video game. Ooh. So Atomic Arcade, the Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast owned studio that was making a Snake Eyes game, has reportedly been shut down. One of the former team members shared on their LinkedIn account that they had been laid off following Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast decision to close Atomic Arcade. So that's terrible, and another side effect of everything that's going on right now. If you remember, Atomic Arcade was formed in 2022, seemingly for the sole purpose of making this Snake Eyes game. The last update we got, which we covered here on the show, was a sneak peek at the Snake Eyes model. So that's what we're looking at right now on the screen, is the sneak peek they shared. Do you guys want to guess when we talked about this?
2022.
Oh, wow. No. No, we discussed this more recently. It was May of last year, which was much longer ago than I thought it was.
Wow. Yeah, it seems much longer.
I mean, we have been talking about the game for a long time, but yeah, this art was released May of last year, which I would have thought it was fall. And it doesn't feel that old. But then on February the 16th, we got an update from a representative, and it wasn't, the article I read wasn't clear about who said this. I don't know if it was somebody from Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast or Atomic Arcade, although if Atomic Arcade doesn't exist anymore, who knows. The Snake Eyes game is not canceled. The team is currently taking time to evaluate the path forward for the game. While decisions haven't been finalized, we're committed to providing updates as soon as we're able. Now, to me, that means we're never going to see this game.
Yeah.
And to be honest, looking at this art kind of with fresh eyes, I don't know that that's such a bad thing, because there is nothing about this image that says Snake Eyes to me. Like, if you just put this in front of me, I would never have said, oh, that's Snake Eyes.
No, and like even down to like whatever that engraving is on his wrist guard, like just throw in a Rashikage symbol there or something,
Right.
just to give us, because yeah, this
Well, even
just
the
looks like Call of Duty version,
right.
yeah, whatever.
And even the weapon he's holding is not anything that
Yeah,
I don't think anybody would associate with Snake Eyes. So, we talked about this game a few times, but I don't think we were ever really invested in it. And look, we've got that great beat 'em up side scroller that if that's all we get, that what, Wrath of Cobra, right?
mm-hmm.
If that's all we get, that's all we get. I think as Joe fans, we have kind of learned. Well, Masters of the Universe fans have been through the same cycles we have of, hey, there's a movie coming, and then a year later, hey, whatever happened to that movie? What movie? Now they're getting their movie, which is mind-blowing. I cannot believe it, because Mr. Bo Brown and I, over the years, we've talked about how it's just never going to happen. There's never going to be a live-action Masters of the Universe movie. And now it is, I mean, it's practically done. It's unbelievable.
And it looks like it might be fun.
It looks like it's going to be a blast. Now, whether it's going to be good or not, I don't know.
And
As we said many times,
aren't they also getting a new side scroller beat 'em up game?
Yes, they are.
See, that's the way to go.
As we say on the Needless Things podcast, the worst crime a movie can commit is being boring. And that movie does not look boring. It may be terrible, but it isn't going to be boring. And we will absolutely be doing a review of it once it comes out as well. Not here, but on Needless Things. So our final news item, we do not have an accompanying picture, because I'm not putting up a picture of that scumbag Max Landis.
But Danny McBride is at least it seems like he's
Danny McBride is awesome and has been involved with a lot of fantastic stuff, which is why I'm positive his script will not be chosen. But before we get into all that, Kristian, were you able to sort of dig in and give us a little synopsis of what the heck is going on?
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, there's a Kids in the Hall sketch about the teddy bear's picnic, and because we're a PG show, I can't say the line. But after doing a lot,
I don't think we can even recommend people Google that.
After reading into this, I think there's a lot of BS going on. So most of the articles, they don't really give any specifics. There's nothing about like a script is is centering on these characters or this era. All the articles are talking about is how Max Landis has written a script for a G.I. Joe movie, and I honestly don't even think it's a script. I
No.
think it's a treatment.
Yeah.
I think that's the same thing that Danny McBride has done.
Right.
I think a lot of this is PR spin to either
To
judge
gauge
the
interest.
public's whether they would be excited or turn on a G.I. Joe movie written by Max Landis, because I think because of the way this is all being promoted, Danny McBride, they're just tossing his name in. Like, he might have written a treatment, but I think you're 100% right. It is, we're never going to see whatever that is. But the reason why I don't want to spend too much time necessarily talking about the Max Landis of it all is it got me to sort of dig a little into how often we hear about G.I. Joe movies, because I felt like a lot of these articles are sort of retconning how popular G.I. Joe and successful Retaliation was, because I seem to remember at the time it made good money, but it didn't make the money that Hasbro and the studio wanted to make, and so therefore it was kind of deemed a failure.
Well, if it had made the money they wanted, there would have been, within a couple of years, another one, and they wouldn't have rebooted with Snake Eyes.
Keep in mind, Snake Eyes releases in 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 2013, John Chu is talking about his plans for a third movie, bringing back The Rock. By December, it's announced in most of the trade publications that a script was written by Evan Doherty. By 2014, now it's being reported in the trade publications that Jonathan Lemkin wrote a script that is solely focusing on Roadblock. Then in 2015, it is reported in multiple trade publications that Akiva Goldsmith was now leading a team of writers to write the third movie. In 2017, it's reported now the whole thing is just going to be a reboot, but the script at least has a title. Still, no one's been cast. And they say it has a title, G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant, and it's going to be released in 2020. And then there's silence. In 2021, we get Snake Eyes. So that's why I think this is a lot of nothing sauce.
Well, the Snake Eyes thing, too, we got, when the Bumblebee movie was first announced, we kind of got that they were going to do a Snake Eyes movie and a Bumblebee movie. And the Bumblebee movie came out in 2018. And also did not do well, unfortunately, because it was great. But yeah, the Snake Eyes movie did even worse in 2021. I mean, it was also not only was it like poorly marketed and did not do what Joe fans wanted, it was also released during a pandemic, and so.
But also keep in mind,
and I'll say right now, and this is not like the last time I watched it was when we reviewed it. I've watched it a couple of times since. I still enjoy the Snake Eyes movie. Is it the G.I. Joe movie I would make? No, it is not. But nothing ever will be.
But
I enjoyed it for what it was. I really did.
They had previously announced that we were getting a live action G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover. So as I dug into
they teased it in
like some of the producers are still saying, "Oh, those scripts are being worked on." So I think that G.I. Joe is a hot property for Hasbro finally, meaning Hasbro is recognizing its popularity. The classified series, the sales have only continued to do better and better. So now I think they're just kind of putting some bait out there to see how people react. Are we excited that we are getting now a G.I. Joe movie and not a G.I. Joe versus Transformers? Are we excited about certain names being attached? I think we might still be waiting 2 years from now.
So this is a little anecdotal, but it goes along with what you were saying. Classified is hugely popular, but I have just like randomly like clicked on a few live streams that popped up in my feed of just like toy reviewers, and there's tons of toy collectors who love these G.I. Joe classified figures and they collect them because they like the quality of the figures and they like the, the accessories and all that. Don't know the first thing about G.I. Joe, didn't grow up with it, don't care anything about the story. They just like the way these figures look on their shelves. So I think they may overestimate how much people care about the lore. It's not like Transformers where you have generations of fans of toys and fiction. I don't know if it just sits the same.
Well, if we want lore, I think
two thoughts about that. One, I don't think Hasbro thinks anybody cares about the lore. I don't think they care about the lore. And two, I would be willing to bet the powers that be see the success and the buzz around the Energon universe as being much more significant than any classified series sales.
And Nowhere Man Child added,
yes,
he's threatening a Clue movie reboot. So let's just cut to the chase and get a G.I. Joe Clue mashup movie. Who Killed the Game Master? I would be all on that.
And you know what? Let's just go ahead and knock it out so we don't have to do a segment down the road. Yes, obviously we want Clue O-ring figures.
Yes.
Just a given.
Yes.
Done. That's
Yes.
it. We don't even need to discuss it. Just do it and we will buy them. So no let's freaking go ring needed because that one is so obvious.
And now I'm imagining the playset that's game board based, but it's got three. Oh,
well, you could do the game board like that G.I. Joe Commando game.
So it's a playable game, with 3 3/4 inch O-ring figures. Yeah, this needs to happen. Super 7.
And Noel, this is a total aside. Noel, you don't even know this, but a couple of years ago, our con group was talking about potentially doing Clue costumes. And I said, well, I don't know who of us is going to be who, but the only person that can play Michael McKean's character is Noel because he looks exactly like him.
When I was a little thinner, maybe.
But seriously, like if you watch Clue, think about Noel, and this is just how it is. It's the age Michael McKean was at the time. Noel from like 10 years ago, like wow. I mean, it's crazy. And even like a little bit of your demeanor and mannerisms and stuff. And by the way, anybody listening, I mean this is 100% complimentary.
Well, this is around the same time, about 10 years ago, where some of my other friends who were part of my G.I. Joe group said, we need to do a Die Hard group because they said I look just like Hans Gruber. And I was like, well, I appreciate that, but that 198 pounds that I was at that little time didn't last very long, unfortunately, and I grew out of that Hans Gruber look very fast.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, I could see that too. Dye the hair and the beard. I can see that for sure. The Noel that was, the all of us that was. We're all nearing our expiration date. All right. Where are we? Okay, so with that movie non-news, which I'll go ahead and say, if you need to know why we are so against Max Landis having anything to do with, quite frankly, any project, just give him a Google. Learn a little bit about him. But also, if you look further up the chain at Paramount, it kind of makes sense because the problem we have with Max Landis may make him an asset to the people running the show.
Hey, Brett Ratner's working again. Why not?
Well, okay, so Jerk Dave actually, it's funny you say that because Jerk Dave made a Paramount's dream scenario for the G.I. Joe movie. It was going to be directed by Brett Ratner. Kevin Spacey was going to be Cobra Commander. And I'll just stop right there because there's no need to go any further. We don't need to bring Jeffrey Jones as Destro into this.
Oh.
Anyway, so what we did, because there wasn't much news to speak of with this movie project, each of us put together a very small casting list, not based on this news, but in the past we've talked about G.I. Joe movie casting, and we've done everything from complete fantasy casting to people who aren't even alive anymore, or what if the movie was made in the 80s. I don't think here on the show we've ever tried to do like realistic casting. Like, what would Hollywood want? Not our personal, or not driven by our personal tastes, but looking at what we think Hollywood would approve or would like for the casting, which obviously our personal taste is going to still come into it a bit, because you can look at who's been hot in Hollywood for the past few years, and I'm sure we all three still have favorites of those. But our driving goal here was, what could possibly be a realistic cast if somebody was looking at making a blockbuster G.I. Joe movie? So we each picked 3 Joes and 3 Cobras, and that's it. That's all we're doing, because this is just a quick little run-through segment. Who wants to drop their cast first?
I will.
Okay.
So mine is a solo-ish shipwreck movie in the vein of like Indiana Jones. I know, surprise.
Barbie surprise gif.
And while he was not my first pick, I did have to think Hollywood casting.
Sure.
So Shipwreck is going to be played by Pedro Pascal, because we're finally going to have a shipwreck outside of Renegades that has a Hispanic accent. Cover Girl is going to be played by Samara Weaving. Chuckles is going to be played by Alexander Skarsgård, because he's going to use his character in Infinity Pool as the selling point, as but an everyman who can blend in.
How dare you bring up that movie that vexed me so?
So our Cobras, and it's still only 3, but there's a little bit of a cheat there. Tomax and Zaymont are going to be played by Elijah Wood, because he
that's
again
great.
can look so innocent and then turn on a dime and look very evil.
Yeah.
We're actually going to change we're not going to necessarily change her background, but instead of going with the pseudo European trash rich bee, I decided we're going to go with Gemma-chan, with more of her look from Crazy Rich Asians, because she was drop dead gorgeous. And I think she can also pull her own in an action type movie based off of what we saw her do in Eternals. But the star, for me, the surprise character that you won't find until the end is going to be Globulus. And it is going to be motion capture by Doug Jones, because I want his movements to be very unearthly, and I want him to creep you the F out.
Who's the voice? Still him?
Yeah, still Doug Jones.
Okay. Not David Hyde Pierce?
No.
Okay. I love all of that. We have a shared actor, but not a shared role.
Oh.
So for my Joes, I believe, as I said before, I think the buzz on the Energon universe more than anything is what will potentially create interest in all of this as a Hollywood project. And Kristian, I'm just going to sit here and stare at your face as I say this, because I need your reaction.
Oh, God.
Jack Quaid as Clutch.
I had him as one of my alternate actors, but I didn't think about him for Clutch.
I did. Oh, he didn't pop in my head at all. But now that you've said that.
Right?
Oh, man.
Put a beard on that guy. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So with the three of the mainish characters of the Energon universe, CoverGirl, I feel like has got to be in there. And I went with Mia Goth.
Mm-hmm.
Smart casting. I just find her incredibly annoying. So she will never be in my movie.
I'm a big fan. I really like her, and I want to see.
Will she have eyebrows in your movie?
No, she will not have eyebrows. You won't be able to tell when she's surprised, and that works to CoverGirl's benefit. No, I really like how her career has. We keep seeing new facets of what she's capable of. I just find her fascinating. And then finally, our central character, our tough guy, whose really defining characteristic is just his anger. Wyatt Russell as Duke.
I had him on my list as an alternate.
He was on my list as well for Chuckles, but
I see him because so far I've enjoyed what I've seen of Wyatt Russell.
Yeah,
but he has not shown me range.
Mm.
But Duke in the Energon universe doesn't really have range. He's just angry. Get the job done. and just to have Wyatt Russell and Jack Quaid as buddies in a movie together, like, that's awesome. So to move over to my Cobras, this, and I don't know why this casting had not occurred to me before. This is, we're only going to see Cobra Commander as a voice in this movie, because you have to have his presence. But we've talked about before how we kind of want to start with not the big story. We're starting with a conflict. So the main bad guy in this one is going to be James McAvoy as Destro.
Good pick.
With Samara Weaving as Baroness.
Okay.
Yep.
And their kind of main action guy, the one that's kind of doing all the work for them, is Christoph Waltz as Major Blood.
Okay.
Nice.
And then finally, to be introduced fully in a future film, because of course we're banking that this thing is going to be huge, Michael Shannon as the voice of Cobra Commander. Because Michael Shannon is so weird and creepy and sinister.
And funny. He can be really funny, and I think he could really translate that character very well.
Yeah, if you haven't watched, what is the name of that movie where it's a Christmas movie with Bigfoot that he's in? I can't ever remember what it's called.
I know the one you're talking about, but I can't remember what the name of it.
He's so freaking good in that. And that was the first thing I saw him in after Man of Steel, and I was like, I love this man. So Google Michael Shannon Bigfoot movie. It is worth your time. Like, save it for the holidays. But it's fantastic. I can't remember what it's called though. So that is my I kind of cheated because I threw in, but I think you have to have the presence of Cobra Commander, even if it's an after credit scene or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, Noel, what do you got?
All right. Well, it was so hard to narrow it down, and just narrowing down characters and Kristian, I definitely had Pedro Pascal, but then I thought Jake Johnson would be a great Shipwreck too, but he's not in my final cut. For Flint, I had Aaron Taylor Johnson, and there were so many characters I wanted to assign him to, but I thought I could really see him being Flint. And because I'm going with Flint, I've got to have Lady J in my cast.
Yeah.
And I'm casting Zoe Kravitz as Lady J.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Okay.
And then for Roadblock, Winston Duke. So that was my main. That was my main joke.
Who's Winston Duke?
M'Baku from Black Panther.
Black
Oh,
Panther.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my Cobra team, and I've got 4 here, and I got to mention all 4 because I love all 4 of these. Firefly.
Wait, real quick. Wait, let me, Kristian, throw up Starfighter's comment right there.
Who are Scott Conn and Jake Busey?
They're going to be dreadnought. As a matter of fact, okay, let's play on Scott Conn and David Arquette's background in Ready to Rumble. Scott Conn, Jake Busey, and David Arquette are Torch Ripper and Buzzer. I don't care what. I don't care who's who. It doesn't matter. But they're the Dreadnoks. Sorry, Noel.
That's right. So for Firefly, Austin Butler, because he's such a chameleon, and I love the way they portrayed him in Retaliation, with what's his name, Ray Stevenson, and I think that Austin Butler could just really bring some gravitas to that role.
He would have to be, though, he would be I've cast Christoph Waltz as Major Blood. Firefly would have to be the Major Blood role for Austin Butler to be he'd have to be the central action bad guy.
And then for Destro and Baroness, I had a few different good Baroness. This one was almost too obvious, but for Destro, and I'm thinking about the picture from Marvel Comics where he he shows his face and he's got that kind of sly look to the side.
Yeah,
and I thought Will Poulter.
He's got that smarmy look.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah. Well, and he also looks. How can I put this delicately? He also looks a little royal.
Yeah.
If you catch what I'm saying.
Exactly what I'm thinking is that he, when I see his face, he looks like that guy comes from the British Isles. There's a lot of British actors and Scottish actors I was thinking about specifically, but he looks very British to me.
And I like the idea of somebody who is visually that, because McAvoy passes as American, it doesn't matter, but I like him having that distinctive. Yeah, good call.
And it might be a little odd because I think she's a little taller than him in real life, also a little older than him. But man, I could not pick anybody better for the Baroness than Eva Green. She just exudes Baroness to me.
I like it, and I don't mind Baroness being kind of the senior official in a way.
Yeah,
that adds a different dynamic to her character if she is a little older and has a little more authority on screen. I kind of like that.
But then my other choice that I really like, and this is where I could really see him digging into this role, just being really creepy in it, is Paul Dano as Zartan.
I don't disagree, but also I could do without Paul Dano. Just personal taste.
Yeah, he's not everybody's everybody's cup of tea.
Throw up Brian Fabian's comment. This one I love.
Yeah, Javier Bardem as Zartan.
Yeah, and there were a lot of actors. I was trying to keep the cast a little bit on the younger side.
And so was I.
So I was trying to avoid people that were I think Eva Green's the only one that I picked that was over 40. But trying to keep everybody within the 30 to 40 range.
Well, I was shocked that Jack Quaid and Wyatt Russell are both 40. Because which granted, for us, casting 40 is casting younger people.
Yeah.
Well, they're Hollywood 40, which means they look 30.
Right, exactly. You could still cast Jack Quaid in a Degrassi remake. What a weird thing to say. We should probably move on.
But I realized I was almost casting half the cast of Thunderbolts in my movie because I had Wyatt Russell on my list and I had Lewis Pullman as Chuckles initially.
Yeah, it's tough. Because and you know what? That's an exercise I'd like us to do, but not as like a full segment, but maybe every once in a while on the audio, or we could do it on the live shows if it's a slow news week. I feel like we've talked about doing it before, but I don't know if we ever have. I would like to every once in a while take an existing franchise, like take Thunderbolts, and then say, okay, who from Thunderbolts, who are they playing in G.I. Joe? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps it simple. It limits the options, and we just kind of have fun and talk about. I think we might start throwing that in from time to time on the live streams. I think it'd be a fun exercise. But speaking of fun exercises, it is now time for everybody's favorite segment of the show, the one where we go to the Audible Army and let them tell us what they want to talk about. Oh, I don't have my slides ready. What happened to my slides? There we go. That's right. It's time for Sound Off. If you are following Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, every time we're doing a live stream, we will put up a Sound Off post where we ask you for topics to discuss here on the live show. We've got a few good ones tonight. Let's see what's going on here. First up, Rec015 with Professor Rotclaw, and I still cannot accept that name, now classified. What other dinosaur-themed figures would you like to see? And can we get a Dinosaur Hunter set? Had it when I was a kid, and I loved it. So, what would you... What first of all, what is your... Because I love the fact that Professor Rotclaw... I love that you're doing it. I dig. I love the dinosaur. I'm all about it. I love the concept. But where is you guys sort of dinosaur in G.I. Joe fandom?
So
I imagine I'm a lot farther removed than Kristian is on this.
Well, we know Kristian's caveman fandom is really high. But what about dinosaurs?
If we're introducing dinosaurs into G.I. Joe, and I already feel this way with the raptor that comes with Rotclaw, that just seems like a very 90s era Joe thing to do. So make it more like the Chaos Effect line from Jurassic Park, where the dinosaurs were like the neon colors and mashed up. If you did something like that, where they were like these experiments that they made, and instead of necessarily being pets, the Joes rode on them into battle, you might win me over.
Almost like some kind of dino riders
in the sky. No. But I think otherwise, like if you wanted to do an offshoot, like if you wanted to do a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Dino Hunters set, you'd probably get me. But if you were introducing it into the line as a regular, I don't know.
Well, the problem, and look, we're just going to keep coming back to this. If prices weren't what they are, if the world wasn't what it was right now, I would want all the dinosaurs. Let's go. Let's freaking go with dinosaurs and G.I. Joe. I'm in, because I can't tell you how badly I've wanted to collect all of the Jurassic Park toys, but it's just not reasonable. But if you throw those dinosaurs into Joe, I'm in. But the problem is, like, the answer to so many of these sound offs, these speculative sound offs, the answer is, well, it would be too expensive. Like, it's not even fun to talk about this stuff anymore, because imagine how much a classified Tyrannosaurus Rex would cost. Like, it's just not worth talking about almost. And it's kind of sucking the fun out of the hobby. Like, we can't dream anymore. Not with classified anyway. Because think about this. I think the lowest possible price point for a classified version of that Dino Hunter set from, was it 93, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was a year. Yeah. So even if it's just a repaint of the vamp, like they don't actually make the vehicle, they just paint the vamp to look like the vehicle, we're still talking $250 for the vamp for 2 figures, and then they've got to tool up presumably a not lousy version of that dinosaur that is large, like it's bigger than the figures. So you're talking about I've never seen that dinosaur in person, and you don't really necessarily get a good idea online, but I do believe that dinosaur would be like 4 times the size of the one that comes with Professor Rockclaw. Like it's larger than the figures by a good bit, right? So we're talking $250 for that set. Who's paying $250 for that set? And that's like the cheapest they could possibly make it, which is unlikely to be the way that they would make it if they were going to. Like we're talking HasLab, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see it. So like I would love Dinosaurs in Joe to be a bigger thing, but I just
Well, since this says Professor Rockclaw now Unclassified, what other dinosaur-themed figures would you like to see? It doesn't say would you like to see in Classified. My answer to this is you do a Transformers crossover with Grimlock, and he turns into the Mobat. But maybe you get like a third Dino mode in there.
You know what? No, I'm gonna say no. It's Grimlock, and he turns into Grimlock, but he has Dino Riders style armor, so Joe figures can sit in. Well, didn't the original Grimlock had one of those little cockpit things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do that. Just make a big giant. I would rather pay $250 for a giant Grimlock that interacted with my O-ring figures than a best we could do classified Dino Hunter set.
I agree.
The chat's Rekship says do a new Venomized Trooper and have the real Paleo Vipers. I'm gonna have to look up the Venomized Trooper again.
Well, and maybe that's really the answer. Is you do like mutant, like it's just a classified figure, but it has like dinosaur head and hands or something.
Is
like,
this how we get
perfect.
Raptor Jesus into the line?
No, this is how we get Mojo Nixon from the Super Mario Brothers movie into the
line. Rest in peace.
All right. Next up, Squatch 616. What HasLab this year, besides the whale, would have you back it immediately when it went live? And clearly Squatch 616 is familiar with the show, because my answer would have been the whale. That does make it a little more difficult. And there's no, for me, there is no back it immediately, because we don't know the prices, we don't know the details. There's nothing that I would just say, yeah, the second it went up, no matter how much it cost or what it was, I'd back it. But the closest you can come to that is a Joe tank, because as we've said before, even more so than the whale, which it's insane. It's too big. It's too expensive. I get it, but I would have to have it. But I feel like a Joe tank is for me, the only truly missing piece from Classified at this point. We've talked about the details of the tank plenty of times before. I think it would be very easy to do something that was shape-wise more like the Mauler, color-wise more like the Mobat. Like, I think they could do... It's one instance where I think they could do an amalgamation and people wouldn't be mad at it. Because if you put out a classified Mobat, but it's just like the original Mobat, that sucks. Like, nobody wants that. So yeah, I want a Joe tank. What about you guys?
Mine would actually be what I realistically expect to be this year's HasLab, because we've talked about this before, but it's Cobra's year. If they're alternating Cobra Joe, Joe.
Yeah.
And I know they said it wouldn't be a HasLab 3 years ago, but I think now the Thunder Machine is an obvious HasLab, and I think that's. If I had to bet on what the next one would be, it'd probably be it, and that's kind of my dream vehicle.
I can't disagree with that. I'd like to have one, and I do think at this point things have changed, and it would now have to be a HasLab. Yeah. Much as I don't want that to be the case, I think you're probably right.
Well, and I'm going totally against what Dave said, because when I thought about this one today, to have me, I'm still not going to back anything as soon as it goes live. But I do think the only thing missing besides a Thunder Machine is a tank, and I have no emotional connection to the Mauler whatsoever. I want a Mobat. And I want a Mobat that is a scaled up version of the original that we can just Dick Steeler in the. Sorry, that's just how I feel. Everybody can hate it, whatever.
They will.
But that's what I want.
Well, I mean, look, if they do any kind of green tank, I think you should be able to situate a figure in the top Mobat style, but that cannot be the only point of interaction.
Tom Henry, for no mention of the Fang, says the Warthog as a HasLab. Does that qualify as a tank? I think it would.
And it carries a whole bunch of figures, so it's got some appeal that way. You can have a lot of stretch goals with extra figures.
I mean, the Warthog's an awesome vehicle, but I have zero personally, just me. I have zero
I don't think it's
for a classified Warthog.
I don't think it's popular enough to be.
What's a box?
Yeah, and we've already got how many slaughters now? We don't need another slaughter as a Warthog.
Wreckship says only one I'd want to back is a Tomahawk, and I am also on board with our good friend Reverend Scott Stripling, who says the Pogo.
That's not a HasLab though.
But anything can be made into a HasLab if you make it big enough and add enough electronics to it, apparently.
Good Lord. We need to table that discussion right now. Pogo is the
mega Pogo
is
a 6
trouble
Cobra
bubble
Trooper
size
Pogo.
Oh my gosh. Get out of here. You're out of your mind. All right. Joe ARAH 42, with 2026 looking like it will be a heavy reuse year. Have we seen enough of 2026 to say that? I don't know. We might have missed something. And a general lack of mainline smaller vehicles. What vehicles might we see in 2026? I'm thinking Vamp Mark II is almost a lock, but I'm secretly hoping for a Polar Battle Bear.
And that would make sense to be something that got announced and released coinciding with the release of the HasLab. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that they've announced so many figures that they're saving some of the smaller vehicles for, announcements at cons and stuff. Like, I think we're still going to get those throughout this year.
Or, with the pricing situation being what it is, have they decided that they're just going to stick to repainting things like what we saw at Toy Fair and maybe take a little break from smaller vehicles, which I hope is not the case.
Well, and I'm sure that the Arctic Hiss was kind of that was an experiment to see how well repainting something of that scale would do, and I think it sold a pretty decent number of units.
I have no idea. I'm sure it did okay. If we're talking smaller vehicles to potentially accompany the Snowcat, I would much rather. And look, I do want a Polar Battle Bear, but I want something that can fight the Snowcat. And I know we've got the Arctic Hiss coming, but I would love to see the Cobra Ice Cutter. That
I
is
was
an
thinking the Wolf, but that's a little bit
awesome
bigger.
vehicle. Well, Ice Cutter is much smaller. Like if we're
Yeah.
talking small vehicles, like
Yeah.
Wolf is,
At
if
this
we're
point, it has
talking
lab.
classified, right? I mean, it's going to be bigger than the Vamp if it's classified up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I don't know. This is another one that's tough to even really talk about. And again, seeing that ATV almost broke my ability to even answer a question like this. But thankfully, Brett White came to the rescue earlier in the show, and I'm going to say I want the makeshift helicopter from the Pit of Despair or whatever the heck it was, the helicopter they build out of Star
Right.
Trek parts.
Yes.
And I want it to be it comes in parts, and you like put it together and make that little helicopter.
I think I proposed that as a build a vehicle when we were talking about that miniseries.
Mhm.
You might have, and it's shocking that Hasbro didn't do it in the 25th ever, because it's exactly the kind of like weird little thing they would have done.
Philip Noah Manchild's comment there.
Oh yeah, motorcycles for the Dreadnoks would be obvious if they didn't include a figure with each vehicle as they do.
There's an easy fix for that because they're doing so many just generic troop builders. You do like a Dreadhead, like masked Dreadnought character, and you throw them on a motorcycle.
But here is the first thought I have every time someone says motorcycles for the Dreadnoks. I do not believe Hasbro is going to produce just a generic motorcycle like people are thinking of. It's going to be something more along the lines of that Dreadnought trike.
Yeah.
I don't see them thinking people want just a regular motorcycle like the Dreadnoughts ride. And then the problem becomes, okay, well, what do they do to that design? Well, then do you just have 3 of those for Torch Ripper and Buzzer? So they're these weird, unique motorcycles, but they have 3 of them. Like, to me, that is as much as I would love to have classified scale motorcycles for the Dreadnoks, it's such a problematic product to figure out how to offer. I just don't see Hasbro ever tackling it.
Brian Fabian thinks the Devilfish would be cool, and I think we are missing aquatic vehicles in the line as well.
Yeah. So I said my other choice for a HasLab would be the Moray, but that might be too big at this point in time for them to throw in as a HasLab. But yeah, we definitely need more aquatic vehicles. The Devilfish would be perfect. You could sell that for $100. Although I don't know who you'd pack in with it at this point. Now that we've got a wetsuit.
You pack in the 1992 wetsuit.
No, you don't.
For more on that, check out last week's episode.
Pack him right into the trash.
Hillbilly Harper. Everybody be sure to check out Podcasts from the Pit. Did y'all go to ZoloCon? Casey did. No, as we discussed earlier, if we're not, or for me, if I'm not either a guest or at least presenting at a convention, I'm just not traveling. I can't justify the expense. And I can say with some certainty that Kristian and Noel also were not at ZoloCon.
No.
And finally, Silent Interlude. I feel a lot of pressure to come up with a sound off that has to become an entire segment now. And if you don't know, Silent Interlude is the one that brought up a segment or something that turned into a segment from last week. And let me just tell you this, Silent Interlude, do not feel that pressure, because when you do that, it disrupts our scheduling and things get pushed back further than they should. So do not feel pressure. We don't want things that become an entire segment here. If it happens, it happens. That's cool. But we would rather not. And I will say this week's sound off is great because it's not even a question. It's just a statement. I want one of our O-ring indie toy makers to do at least one wave of 1984s from Word Burglar. I want Sneaky Pants and a Rap Viper. I really feel like this is a realistic thing that could happen if enough people got on board. And all we can really say to that is, yep.
Let Super 7 know.
No. It ain't going to be Super 7. But
Yeah,
all we can say to that is, yep, that'd be cool.
that would be great. And we
that's
expect
where we'll
those
leave it.
figures in about 4 to 5 years, maybe.
All right, now. You got to give our indie toy makers a break.
I am not giving them a hard time. I just am being realistic.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, brings us to the last segment of the show, which is Joe and Tell, where each of us gets to share something that we've really kind of gotten to the point where it's not necessarily directly Joe related, because in this day and age, we're just not buying Joe stuff every week. And it's just not practical to have an expectation of something to have on camera. But I'll go ahead and start it this time around, because mine has changed. I teased something else, I think on last week's show, but that's going to have to wait, because I want to talk about these protective cases that I got from Katana Collectibles. So if you don't know, one of my hobbies is collecting signed figures, whether it's something that, like, I had Brian, well, right here. I had Brian Flynn sign this Cobra Mortal figure at Joe Fest a couple of years ago. I think signed figures are kind of a unique thing to have, because it's more interesting than an 8x10. And it's just something not everybody thinks to do. But a lot of times you don't have a ready-made case for your signed figure. It's something else. And I found this company. Okay. My feed just went out for a second. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Is everybody still here? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yep.
So I've had people recommend Katana Collectibles because you can go to their website and they have this massive selection of different sizes for different toy lines, but also you can get custom cases made. And these cases, so this is, I got this Herbert West figure signed by Jeffrey Combs, and you don't want this just out collecting dust and stuff. But these cases, so they ship flat and they're crystal clear. What is this, acrylic? No, it's not acrylic. What is this? It's just like a hard plastic, and you can see it's kind of flexible. It's not as much a case as a dust protector. And if you're a fan, I'll tell you this. If you are a fan of peeling the protective film off of like remote controls and phone screens and that kind of thing, these cases are for you. Because when they arrive, that film is on every part of the case, and you have to sit there and peel everything off. But the cases are really, really precisely measured and everything. Like, you go in, and if you search for NECA Reanimator, this might pop up, but if it doesn't, you can measure the packaging and it'll bring up like the right size. So you assemble the case, put the figure in, and it's pretty solid, and it's going to keep it from getting dust damage or anything. But the problem here is they're really snug. So if it's signed, you can't have the surface rubbing up against the case.
Right.
So whereas like star cases, you've got plenty of space between the bubble and the case right there, so you don't have to worry about the signature rubbing off. But with these, they fit right up against the box. Now, with this figure, the front of the bubble is recessed, so his signature is not touching this case. But there are other ones where you wouldn't be able to do that, because if you slid this in, it would just scratch that paint pen right off. But I got this one. And this is just the only RoboCop figure that was on at the market at the time when I met Peter Weller, but you can see this one is designed a little bit differently. It's got a hang tab on top, but they're nice and crystal clear. The funny thing is, I've seen people who did not remove the protective film. I guess they didn't realize it was on there. So I have seen these cases in the back and been like, man, that looks terrible. Like, I wouldn't put my figures in that. But then if you read the description, it says each one arrives with a protective film to prevent scratching or whatever. But just to show you like the different sizes they've got, this one is just a standard like shelf box. It's not even anything special, but it fits. Like, that fit is perfect. And again, the window in the front is a little bit recessed, so it's not touching the case. Let's see. And then just one more there. So they've got tons and tons and tons of different sizes, and it's a good way to protect these figures. And I've had so many sitting around for years, signed but not protected, because they were irregular sizes or there weren't standard that you could buy on Amazon. So that's Katana Collectibles. I think that and they're cheap. The most expensive thing out of those cases, the biggest one was like $7.95. So they're not very expensive at all. And like I said, they ship flat, so the shipping isn't terribly expensive. So just purely as a way to protect your valuable figures, I think they're pretty good. They're not necessarily the best looking display wise, but they get the job done and they're affordable. So that is my review of Katana Collectibles cases. Go check out their website. We're not sponsored yet. All right. Kristian, what do you got?
Okay, so mine is Joe related. It is specifically related to last week's episode. If you listen to our America's Elite for the 1992 figures, as soon as we finished recording, I had to go on eBay and I had to get the 1992 Roadblock. Now, I didn't spend the money to get the version with the spinning rotor because that was way out of my price range, but he just came in today. I was opening him up as we were doing the show, so I haven't really even got a chance to mess around with him, but this is a great looking figure.
Yeah, if Toylanta weren't right around the corner, I would have done the same thing. Because there were a few in that segment that I was like, man, I really need to.
Yeah, there's only a couple in that segment I don't have. Because if it's a nightmare colored G.I. Joe, it's probably already in my collection.
Well, that's awesome. That's a great get. And he is on my Toylanta list for sure. All right, Noel, what do you got?
Well, I kind of feel like I picked the wrong one because Tom Henry's in the chat. So, Tom Henry, you're just going to have to make sure you're here in 2 weeks next time we do a Joe and Tell, because it'll be pertinent to your interests. But I have to amend our Audie's winner for Best Non-Joe Toy. Someone had suggested this, and I finally opened mine up and put it together. And this thing is phenomenal. This is the Lego Soundwave.
Wow.
Yeah, and the chest pops open. You do have your Laserbeak and your Ravage. I'm not going to transform them because it's kind of a pain to take all the things off. And
sure.
But they changed the transformation a lot on Ravage. Laserbeak is actually very similar to the original toy, but they do fit. I mean, one of them at a time, of course, fits right in here. The transformation is great, with the minus the fact that the arms just kind of sit on his back. But you know what? How much engineering went into this thing? Like, when you see,
right, it's
how
a
much
freaking Lego transformer. I can deal with a little extra
like how complex just this transformation in the legs are. Like just to flip these feet up and you see how everything folds in there. Like
Yeah.
it is insane how much they put into this.
It's funny that Lego is more concerned about that aesthetic than Hasbro is.
Oh yeah. But here's my favorite part of it.
Whoa.
So he's got a little voice box in there, and it's got like dozens of unique little phrases and stuff. They re-recorded a lot of the lines. I believe they actually might have gotten Frank Welker to come back and do some of them. But it's great, and he looks fantastic. He's huge. I mean, I think he's actually taller than he might be about right. He's about right the same height as the Optimus.
Well,
But
he looks bigger than that masterpiece Megatron, and that's a giant figure.
Yeah, and I mean everything down to like the back opens up. You can't fit the weapons in there like you could on the original, like the batteries. But it's nice that they actually did had that touch there. It's actually how you hide his head in the transformation as it goes in there. Everything about this is fantastic. So it is. I think it's like $179.99 is the retail on this, and it's worth. I mean, it is worth it. It's one of my favorite Lego sets I've ever put together. And as much as I love the Optimus.
How long did the build take you?
I did it over the course of like 3 nights, a few hours each night. So it's probably about 8 hours total that I spent building it.
Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah. He's great. So yeah, I'm waiting on my the Tudor Corner because I ordered that and it's back ordered. I don't even have it yet, but just from the pictures, I decided it was the best one of the year. And it may change once I actually get it out and build it. But for right now, I'm calling Lego Soundwave the best non-Joe toy of 2025.
Man, yeah, that thing looks awesome.
Yeah. I just don't know where I'm going to put it now. I think he might hang out with my Lego Voltron, even though he dwarfs him.
Solid Joe and Tell. Well done, everybody. Well, that is all the show we've got for you this week. Our music is by Chris Lodge of Neon Warlords. Be sure and check out Neon Warlords on YouTube and Bandcamp. Follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast. Kristian, where can we find that toy photography you do so well?
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky under the name Legion Cub.
And Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club. We raise money for a wonderful charity organization called Canines for Warriors. So if you're out at a show and you see us, drop by, pick up some cool swag, talk some Joe, and hey, donate a few bucks.
And remember, our next live stream is right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel on March 16th. Oh, hell yeah. Until then, yo, Joe.
Cool.